Here we go.
At my signal, unleash hell.
God bless the geek.
Rules. We don't think so.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Please make a note of it.
This is the show where you hear everything geek culture.
Have you noticed we've been sharing our culture with you all morning?
Talking movies, comics, video games, TV shows, all from a geek point of view.
People who get it, get it.
If it's geek, we'll speak about it here on the Geek Speak Show. Here are your hosts, Henry and Romo.
Well, me at least. Welcome to the Geek Speak Show. Yeah, we are going to get ready for WonderCon now. Hi, Violet.
Hi.
Let's lead everybody in warm-ups. 1, 2, not that kind of warm-up. We're going to talk to a lot of people who are going to be there, panelists, I guess is the word for it, exhibitors. We got some cosplayers coming on. You can't see them, of course, but unless you go to our website and you'll see the pictures there. So we're going to get you all ready and excited. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, what are you waiting for? A couple of weeks. WonderCon.org is the website. Got a few more tickets left, I think, but go on there and get yours if you're not ready. So, ready to go?
Ready.
Not the WonderCon, I mean the show.
Well, I'm packed already.
Okay, good. I'm not, so hey. Nothing new there. So let's start it off with somebody who's been on the show. We actually met them a year ago at last year's WonderCon, and they've been on the show many, many times. Kind of like Rod Roddenberry, he's been on many times talking about Trek Nation, a TV show that's coming. We just don't know when. We finally had him on. He premiered it last month, actually. Or no? What is this? No, in December, I think, or whenever it was. But it premiered finally. We can say finally the same thing for Help, I'm Alive. Justin Berger back on the Geek Speak Show. Justin, welcome back.
Hey guys, and girl apparently. Thanks for having me. It's great to be back.
Yeah, and like I said, to finally premiere the pilot at the WonderCon, right?
Yeah, we're really, really super excited. Last year, we premiered a promo, which was a 5-minute teaser, just to kind of get people interested in talking about the show. But this time, we're actually going to premiere about a 15-minute episode that you can watch, and we'll be playing that throughout the weekend at different times, and we'll have times up on the booth and everything, and it's going to be fun.
So for the viewers that don't know much about Help I'm Alive, could you give us a little, I guess, tease about it to tease the audience?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Help I'm Alive, as I said before, it's a post-apocalyptic story. Our story takes place in a world where in 2012 there's a zombie apocalypse where a virus breaks out. You know, we've heard similar stories before. The difference for ours is we take place 20 years after that. So the world has kind of gone through the ringer. This is kind of the remnants of humanity, and our story takes place with a group of survivors who are living in the mountains of Northern California. And, you know, they're trying to make a go of it. They're trying to survive. They have a little community. They're out, you know, doing patrols, looking for infected, looking for survivors. When they stumble across a stranger who, kind of stumbles into them, don't know what to make of him, and they end up taking him back to their camp, and from there, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, and again, we're talking to director Justin Berger, director and producer of Help I'm Alive, the web series coming to helpimalive.tv, up on our link section. I think we're just going to leave it up there. You guys come on so long, and you're always welcome. So I'm just going to leave it up there permanently. Like I said, the pilot is premiering. They will be at, where did I put it? Booth 544. And Justin, let me talk correctly now. Are you going to be premiering the pilot at the booth, or is it somewhere else?
No, it's going to be at the booth. We'll have a TV going. What we're going to be doing is we'll have behind-the-scenes stuff going, like, constantly, and then we'll have, like, probably, like, once an hour, we'll show the 15-minute pilot, and people can come and watch it at different times. Yeah, I mean, it's not the optimal place for people's sake because, you know, it's so loud in there and everything, but, you know, we've been hyping this for so long. We really want to premiere it at WonderCon. We want people to see it. We want people to get interested and know that, you know, the show's underway. We've been working on this for almost, I think, 2 years now, and, you know, we're really excited with where it's gotten. I just got off set yesterday. We've been shooting for 3 days, trying to get this thing finished in time for WonderCon. It's like really down to the line, but, you know, it kind of makes it that much more fun, and you know, it's just a great experience. And our cast and crew is amazing. I can't say enough good things about them. And in the editing room, seeing it come together is just amazing to see it come off the page, and I really can't wait for everybody to see it.
Yeah, going right down to the line is usually expected. You know, you have J.J. Abrams goes right down to almost release day, so does Joss Whedon. So it's okay if you go right down to the last possible day.
Yeah, you kind of have to in this day and age. I think things are moving so fast, you kind of don't have a choice. It's just the way it is, you know. And I think it actually, like I said, it adds the excitement. I think it invigorates the work with a little energy that you might not otherwise go if you had like, oh, I got a year to put this out, whatever. You know, it's a mad dash to the end, and I think it makes for a better product, honestly.
Yeah, like you said, it'll be premiering at booth 544 at WonderCon in a couple of weekends. But when is it going to be online?
We are not 100% sure, because what we show at WonderCon is going to be not necessarily a rough cut, but it won't be a completely 100% finished version as far as like sound design and things like that. Visually, it'll be pretty much done, but we would like to make it 100% as best as we can for the web. Ideally April, but it may be a month after that. We're just not 100% sure. It really depends on how much we get done for the WonderCon premiere.
So can you consider it kind of like a test showing?
In a way. I mean, it's just, the reason I say it's a rough is just because we're not going to have the time to really put the love into it that I would like. As far as, like I said, sound design and you know, adding certain elements that really will make it pop. You know what I mean? I mean, it's going to be good. It's going to be finished. It's not going to be a rough cut where you're going to see unfinished shots. I mean, it'll be a completed episode. It's just the gloss that we'd like to put over it for the web will come later.
Okay, and you're going to be there. Obviously, I'm assuming Anthony's going to be there. Who else is going to be at the WonderCon booth?
It's going to be myself, Anthony Larice, the creator, and the actor Lauren in the series, Andrew Fassler, who's one of the producers, and then David Shatnoff, who's one of the producers as well. We've also got our booth babes again. I know you guys love them. And everybody did. They took massive pictures with everybody at WonderCon last year, but a couple girls actually made up as zombies, and then we've got a couple girls that aren't. Just for anybody who wants to get pictures taken with some hot girls bloodied up. And then, of course, we got our makeup artist who was going to WonderCon to do the zombies and was also on set, Chrysalis Rose, who's just amazing. And when you see her zombie that she did for the pilot, it's pretty sick. Yeah,
hot girls all bloodied up. Usually you have to pay for that. Here, it's going to be for free. What other reason do you need to go to the WonderCon? So it's Justin Berger, director.
Brought to you by Help Them Alive.
Exactly. Again, booth 544, they're going to be there. They're going to be there all weekend, right, Justin?
Yeah, and you know, the interesting thing that I found out just this week is we're actually right next to Dark Horse booth, and from what I understand, Marvel. So
there you go. So you're going to get a lot of traffic then, for sure.
Hopefully, yeah, stop by. You know, we'll have stuff we're giving away all weekend and say hi. And it should be a great time. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, and there's some behind-the-scenes videos that we put up on our Facebook page, and also we'll link it up on our link section. And before we do let you go, Justin, let me ask you, how do you feel? I know you said it's only, like you said, a rough cut of it, but how do you feel now that the pilot is done? You finally got it in the can, so to speak.
I feel really good. You know, we've been working with this production crew called Maximum Flavor here in the Bay Area, who I've worked with previously, and just seeing the footage, it's you know, it's HD, it's really, really amazing looking, and then the actors are just giving it their all, and they're doing a great job, and just, it's really coming together nice. I'm really happy with it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, seeing it come off the page, like something that you've worked on and written on, and to see the actors doing it and coming together, and, you know, as you're editing it together, the story is really taking a physical shape. It's amazing. I'm extremely happy with it, and I know everybody else is as well.
I just forgot right now, but did you say any of the actors going to be there besides Anthony?
Unfortunately, no. We wanted to bring some down, but it just wasn't in the cards. I think probably next year we definitely will, and I know we're going to try and get some of them on your show, Sue, for some interviews.
Yeah. And how, I don't even know if you're even thinking that far ahead, but have you started thinking on when you're going to start filming the second episode?
Yeah, I mean, we have our, you know, as in any production, our biggest thing is budget. And, you know, when we shot this first one, we had a modest budget. I don't want to say how much, but it was a modest budget, and we got it done. And it was a little tight. A lot of us came out of pocket a little bit, which is totally fine. But, you know, we really For this next episode, we really kind of got to step up our game because they head back to their community, and we have buildings and stuff we got to build, and it's going to be the next level. Once you see the pilot episode, they're kind of out in the wilderness. You can kind of get away with it, and you're kind of getting introduced to that world. But once they head back to that community, there's a lot going on. It's a huge ensemble cast we got happening, and it's just a lot going on. So we want to make sure that we can do it right rather than kind of just jump into it half-assed and not continue to have like great looking episodes and great stories.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this before, and now that you're going to have a pilot, something to show finally, you'll probably get some sponsors on because, it's kind of hard. And I know, having tried to do the same thing with this show when we first started 3-4 years ago, whenever it was, it's kind of hard to get sponsors to come on when you're just trying to sell them on an idea. But now they can actually see the finished product. It's easier to say, hey, look, you want to sponsor this? So, and plus, we'll help you get the word out as much as we can, like we always do.
Exactly, and I appreciate it. I mean, you guys have been supporting us from WonderCon last year and since we met, and it's just, we really appreciate it. It's been great. And you're totally right. I mean, once you have a product, you can show people, like, look, this is what we can do with what we have. Just imagine if you put in your money, what we could make happen. So it makes all the difference.
Yeah, so again, it's Justin Berger, director, producer, Help 'em Alive, the web series coming to helpemalive.tv. Pretty soon. Keep checking their website. It'll all be on there. You can meet them if you're going to WonderCon a couple of weekends, I should say. Booth 544, right next to Marvel. Go say hi to Justin, Anthony, everybody else, and we'll see you all out there. Justin, we're looking forward to meeting you, all of you guys, finally, for the first time also.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's been a year, and we've never officially met face-to-face, so I'm excited for that as well.
Talking on the phone a lot, but we just never met face-to-face.
Exactly. So it's going to be cool. I'm excited to meet you guys. I mean, like I said, you guys have been huge supporters, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So again, Justin, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and thanks. And you don't even have to say it, but I'll say it anyway. You're welcome back anytime.
Thanks, and like I said, we appreciate it. But I just looking forward to seeing everybody at WonderCon. Please come to our booth 544. Make sure you check us out on the internet at Help 'em Alive Show on Twitter. Facebook.com/Help 'em Alive Show, and of course helpemalive.tv. We're an indie production. If you buy a T-shirt, all that money goes into the product, into the show. So anything you want to do to help us, it's all very appreciated.
All right, Justin, we'll see you then.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so again, Justin Berger, director, producer, Help 'em Alive web series coming to helpemalive.tv. They did it, but if you have an idea, creative idea, whatever it is, how do you go from fan to creator? I can tell by the look on your face, like, I don't know, good question. Well, we'll have somebody who actually has a panel on that. It's been going on at a Comic-Con for the past 6 years. Huge hit. He'll talk to us about just that in just a few minutes.
The Geek Speak Show will be right back.
Now you have another way to promote your geek product besides conventions. The Geek Speak Show. The Geek Speak Show has a loyal following that is just waiting for a new app for their smartphone, the most awesomest t-shirt to show off their geek pride, or
insert your product here.
Advertise on the show, or on the Geek Speak website, or on both. And you're guaranteed to reach the same audience you'd reach at your favorite con. Interested? Send an email to ads@thegeekspeakshow.com for more information and ad rates. Movie and TV studios, comic book artists and publishers and actors know to come on the Geek Speak Show to promote their projects. Isn't it time you used a show to promote your product? Send an email to ads@thegeekspeakshow.com.
Tell the world about that great book you just finished reading or read when you were younger. Send an email to books@thegeekspeakshow.com and your book will be featured on the weekly book club segment. Just a few rules. 1. The book must be in the sci-fi, horror, or fantasy genre, or a mashup of those. 2. Biographies are okay, as long as it's relevant to geek culture. George Lucas, Stan Lee, Steve Jobs, etc., etc. 3. No comic books, but graphic novels are okay. 4. You must have read the book and loved it. Don't suggest a book just because my friend's cousin, sister's boyfriend's dad said it was good. And that's it. Send your suggestions to books@thegeekspeakshow.com and you might hear your book mentioned on next week's show. If possible, we might even have the writer on to talk about the book. Books@thegeekspeakshow.com to have your book featured on the Geek Speak Show Book Club.
This station creation is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We're back on the Geek Speak Show.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Actually, we are kind of proud of it. Welcome back to the Geek Speak Show. So we are getting warmed up for WonderCon, doing our breathing exercises and everything. 1, 2, 3, 4. WonderCon in a couple of weekends at Anaheim. Yes, I know, not in San Francisco this time, but it is coming back. We'll talk to David Glanzer next week, director of PR marketing. And it's not WonderCon if you don't have our annual visit with David Glanzer anyway. So he'll be on next week, I should say. Next weekend is WonderCon. WonderCon.org if you haven't gotten your passes yet. If not, what are you waiting for? 2 weeks? Hurry up and get out there. 3-day passes, $40, bargain. So continuing today, we just talked to Justin Berger from Help I'm Alive. He's been on many times, but now they're finally going to premiere the pilot. You'll see that at WonderCon. Something else, and I asked you that question right before we took the break. How do you go from fan to where Justin and company are? From just talking about it to actually doing it and showcasing your wares or your comic or whatever it is. How would you do that?
A toucan?
A toucan?
I don't know.
Toucans? That's one way, but Comic-Con has been a big hit there. From fan to creator, that panel. And on with us is Doug Neff, who runs that panel there. Doug, welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you here. So you were asking about toucans. Go ahead and ask them that.
Yeah, so we did. So we were just wondering about the quirky name from you being the president at Toucan Learning Systems, like where you came up with it, or is there some funny story behind it?
Sure. There's a good story behind it, actually. Let's see. It starts back when we came up with the idea for the workshop. The first time I went to Comic-Con was in 2006. And my partner and our best friend went together. Our best friend had gone for years, and he dragged us, finally, kicking and screaming, "No, we don't want to go." Can you imagine not wanting to go
Comic-Con?
to Comic-Con? Like, oh, the hotels are too hard to get, and it's so far away. But he got us down there and had a blast, and we've gone every year since. But one of the things that I noticed there was all three of us had something under our arm, like a script. My friend Adam is a comic book writer. My partner Corey is a filmmaker, and I do this, speaking in groups, motivational speaking. And we all had like a project that was our dream, but they were all half finished or not started. And I started to think about what could I bring to Comic-Con, and going to all these panels where you see those tables and these successful professionals are on the other side of that table, and you get to sit on the chairs down on the floor. And I wondered what it would take to get across that table. So we got home after Comic-Con, and we went through, recovery and withdrawal and all of that, all the things you do. And Corey, my partner, and I started talking more and more about it, and where by myself I hadn't been able to break through that. When we worked together at it, when we put our heads together and supported each other, I was able to crank something out. I was able to bring something out into the world. So we saw that it was his idea, actually, where one of us can't, two of us can. And that's where the name Toucan came from.
So
there's a cute little bird that goes with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you thought you meant like 2 garbage cans or something like that. And I don't think so, but go ahead and ask him. It's probably a good story behind it, and it was. So again, we're talking to Doug Neff. He will be doing the from fan to creator panel on Saturday, March 17th, 10:30 to 11:30, room 203 at WonderCon. So if all of you have an idea or something, that's the place to be on. That's the first panel on Saturday. And Doug, before you started doing this with Comic-Con and now WonderCon, you mentioned you were a motivational speaker. Was it leaning more towards geek stuff, or what kind of motivational speaking did you do?
No, more businessy stuff, really. I've worked with nursing homes in culture change around nursing homes, helping to make them better places to live. I've just done regular group work with companies and things like that, leadership qualities, but there was always sort of this geek passion underneath it all, things that I enjoy, in my off time. And Comic-Con seemed a great place to marry the two.
So how did you go from that to being known as the Tony Robbins of geeks?
Well, the second or third time I did the workshop, we had a special guest at the workshop, and now we try to do it every time. So we're hoping to have one at WonderCon as well. But I happen to be friends with Gene Yang, he's a local guy from the Bay Area, and he Eisner Award winner, National Book Award finalist for American-Born Chinese. And he came and did a guest spot at my workshop, and afterwards I went down in the exhibit hall and thanked him and shook his hand, and he looked at me and he said, "You're like the Tony Robbins of geeks." So it kind of stuck, and what I like about it is that it tells people right away what they're sort of walking into. Some people don't go for a motivational speaker type of workshop; they just don't get into that. And I'd rather people know when we come in that, look, we're going to be fun and exciting, and we're going to give you some solid ideas and tips to work with, and the goal is to get you really jazzed up by the end of it. And if that's not for you, then you know right away. If you're not a Tony Robbins kind of person, then you know that up front.
So I was just wondering, normally at these conventions when you do this, do you get like a certain age group? Because I know a lot of kids that go to WonderCon, and I remember when I was young, I tried to write a book that somehow didn't work out very well, but still.
But you tried. That's great.
Yeah, well.
You still have it?
Somewhere in my desktop hiding. But I was wondering, do you get a lot of different age groups, or?
I do, actually. Yeah, I get. I remember I had one young kid in there. Must have been like 9 or 10, and I usually ask people what their dream is, and his dream was to work at Pixar, and so we actually had other people in the room who either worked at Pixar or were familiar with the place, and kind of paired them up at the end of the workshop to give him some advice, tell him what he needs to start doing in school so that he could be prepared to apply for a job. And then there's folks on the other side of the spectrum too who are either professionals in the business or just further along in their years and still working on their own stuff, and they seem to get a lot out of it too. So there's a pretty wide range. I don't know if I would say there's one general demographic that comes.
So it's all over, really. And again, if you want to be part of that audience, that panel, it is Saturday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 10:30 to 11. Make sure you wear green. 10:30 to 11:30, room 203 at WonderCon this weekend. And without giving too much away, what kind of advice are you planning to give during the panel?
Well, I'll give you just a couple. The very first piece of advice I give to people in the workshop too is if you really want to reach your goal, your creative goal, this dream that you have, one of the first things you need to do is realize that there's no magic solution to it. There's no magic that's going to reach that dream for you. There's no motivational speaker. There's no 2-day class. There's no convention. There's no set of audio tapes or book or self-help video program or anything like that that's going to accomplish that goal for you. Every panel you go to at WonderCon, where you see professionals on the other side of the table, sooner or later they had to sit down at the table and write or draw or do whatever their thing is. They had to just do the work. And I think that's hard for a lot of us in the geek world to get past. That it feels like our heroes make it look easy, and it feels like it should be easy for us too. And so we sign up for workshops and we buy self-help books and things like that, thinking that that'll just solve it for us. And the key that a lot of us miss, I think, is the getting over that to the next side of it, which is those things help, and then you add those to the hard work. So that's sort of one of the chapters that we stick with during the workshop for a little while.
And on the programming notes at the WonderCon website and some video interviews that are out there with you from the Comic-Con panels, most of them you talk about, and you mentioned earlier when we started the interview, you mentioned if you have a script or a comic book, it's not just that, because what we're doing right now, podcasts or radio shows or anything like that. Would your advice apply to those creative types also?
Yeah, we're just talking about goals. Right. We're talking about creative goals specifically. So generally, if most of the things I talk about will help if you want to just lose weight or if you want to run a marathon. But the examples and things I use are generally geared for people who have creative goals, that they want to take from their head or their heart and produce in the world. But yeah, podcast, short film, music video, comic book scripts, a book, a photography table, coffee table book, anything like that would fit into these ideas.
In your opinion, not just with creative, with anything, just people in general, what do you think is the one thing that prevents them from actually accomplishing those goals?
The one thing that prevents them from accomplishing that?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is just the belief that they can. I think that we often get caught up in this story in our head that that's beyond us, that's bigger than us. I mentioned running a marathon, something like that. That seems insurmountable until you've done it. And often that first creative endeavor that you want to do, it seems insurmountable. It seems like publishing my own comic book. There's so much to think about in that. There's so much to get done and to take an idea all the way to completion. But once you've done it, once you believe you can, that thing that you've already done seems a lot easier. So I think that is one of the biggest that gets in the way for most people to come to this workshop.
Yeah, and again, Doug Neff will be giving that workshop on Saturday, March 17th, 10:30, room 203 at WonderCon at the Anaheim Convention Center. From fan to creator, goal setting for creative types. And you're also, Doug, involved with the Comics Creator Connection. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah, the Comics Creator Connection is an idea we had a bunch of years ago, and we sat down and talked with Eddie Ibrahim, the program director for Comic-Con. And it was an idea that he had also, so we sort of got to talk and collaborate about it. And the idea was that there are a lot of writers wandering around Comic-Con, and there are a lot of artists running around Comic-Con too. And they almost never meet.
Right.
The artists hang out at Artist Alley, and the writers do whatever we writers do. But they have a hard time finding that perfect creative partner, and it's like dating, really. How do you find that one person in the sea of all the other penguins out there, right? So we thought it would be great if we took a model like speed dating and brought that to Comic-Con, where you sit across the table from someone for 5 minutes, and you pretty much know in those 5 minutes if there's someone you'd want to work with. You get to see a little bit of their work or hear how they tell stories. And then the buzzer sounds and you move on to the next person. And that's pretty much what it is. The Comic Creator Connection lets you meet like 15 or 20 people in one night, get to see their work. We send out instructions where everyone brings sort of a sheet that they leave with the person. So you might have an example of their illustration style right on that sheet that you can take home with you. And then you have a stack of those that you can look at and like, I have this great idea. Who do I want to pick up the phone and call to maybe work with on this idea? And
and we've seen them at WonderCon, at Comic-Con, and at Abe, and it's been a huge hit at all three of them.
Yeah, it's everyone that comes finds it really valuable. I always know when a workshop or a panel is going well because nobody leaves, right?
Yeah.
When it's boring, people start. They go to the back, they get a drink of water, and then they sort of slip out the door.
Exactly.
But it gets more fun as the evening goes on. So that's a lot of fun. And if people want to be part of the Creator Connection, it's the one of the few things at Comic-Con and WonderCon that require a sign up. So go to the website and there's a little button to sign up and send an email, and we still have openings.
Yeah, in fact, I can tell you guys to register, you go to programs@comic-con.org, programs@comic-con.org. But I do got to tell you, Saturday registration for writers only, is closed as of right now. So there you go.
All right, well, that's good news. That means there's a lot of writers showing up there. So
yeah, I checked that right before we went on. Yeah, so and it's happening also Friday and Saturday, March 16th, 17th, both days, 5 to 7 p.m. Not exactly sure where, but I'm sure they'll send you an email or it'll be all on the website before we go there.
Yeah, they'll tell you what room it's in the email.
So there you go. So again, it's Doug Neff. His big panel will be the first one on Saturday, 10:30, room 203. From fan to creator, goal setting for creative types. You heard him tease a little bit. What are you going to hear on there? Go there, and if you have that idea and you need that final push, you'll probably get it from Doug at WonderCon. So, Doug, thanks a lot for coming on. You're welcome back anytime.
Hey, Henry and Violet, thank you both. This was great fun.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be there. We'll say hi if we can at WonderCon.
Please do. Stop by.
Okay. All right, Doug, thanks.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
The Geek Speak Show will be back in a moment. Tell the world about that great book you just finished reading or read when you were younger. Send an email to books@thegeekspeakshow.com and your book will be featured on the weekly book club segment. Just a few rules. 1. The book must be in the sci-fi, horror, or fantasy genre, or a mashup of those. 2. Biographies are okay, as long as it's relevant to geek culture. You know, George Lucas, Stan Lee, Steve Jobs, etc., etc. 3. No comic books, but graphic novels are okay. 4. You must have read the book and loved it. Don't suggest a book just because my friend's cousin, sister's boyfriend's dad said it was good. And that's it. Send your suggestions to books@thegeekspeakshow.com and you might hear your book mentioned on next week's show. If possible, we might even have the writer on to talk about the book. Books@thegeekspeakshow.com to have your book featured on the Geek Speak Show Book Club. And now here's the Geek Speak Show Book Club. Here's Henry and Romo.
Well, just Henry at least, and Violet is... Where is she? I think she's out eating again like last week. So welcome back to the Geek Speak Show. Having a lot of fun. We're going to cool down on the warm-up to WonderCon. A couple of weekends again. WonderCon in Anaheim. Yes, I know, not in San Francisco, but it will come back next year, maybe. We'll talk to David Glanzer next week on the show about just that. So the book club for me today is a pretty cool book. I actually got it not too long ago. It's by Victoria Foyt called Save the Pearls Part 1, Revealing Eden. And yes, it is a Part 1. There's a Part 2 coming, obviously. So we do this a lot on the book club. Sometimes, if we're lucky, we do get to talk to the author. Today is one of those days. Victoria Foyt on the phone with us. Victoria, welcome to the Geek Speak Show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I was really excited about finishing. It's really a page turner. I know a lot of people say that about books. It's a real page turner, but this one really was. I mean, my wife can attest to this. I was up late at night. I couldn't put it down.
I love hearing that, of course. That totally warms my heart because, you sit there toiling by yourself for a couple of years and you don't know. Sometimes it's like going down a dark tunnel. And then when you hear, particularly with this book, I've heard so much what a great page turner it is and how captivating it is. And I think, wow, that's great, because you really don't know while you're writing it what people will say.
Yes. So again, without giving too much away, tell us about Save the Pearls.
Well, it's a mix of genres. It's definitely a dystopian, post-apocalyptic world, but it's also a romance, and those two seem like they could be at odds. But for me, I guess Hunger Games both straddles both those genres. But I really like both of them, and it's set in a world where Earth is so overheated that the white race has mostly died off from extreme solar radiation because we have less melanin in our skin and therefore cannot resist the heat. So people live underground, and the pearls, the Caucasians, have mostly died off. The Coals, the darker skin races, are the ruling class. And it's sort of reverse prejudiced. And the story is told from the eyes of this 17-year-old girl, this Pearl, Eden Newman, who has to mate before her 18th birthday, also because of the environment being so overheated. 17 by 20 you're basically middle-aged. Right. Longevity is a myth. It doesn't happen. It doesn't turn out that way. And she has a very low mate rating and cannot get a mate. And if she doesn't get one by the time she turns 18, she's basically going to be sent outside to die. So her father's involved in a experiment that will possibly save the world, and she unwittingly basically screws everything up, and all hell breaks loose. And she and her father and this very beastly guy have to escape to the last patch of rainforest, and the story goes from there. So it's a little bit like Beauty and the Beast. It's an adventure story. It's a romance, and yet it really touches on this theme of the loss, our decaying environment, which I feel very passionate about.
Yeah, that actually, the reverse prejudice caught my attention too. Something else that I noticed in there is how you, and I don't know if you did this on purpose, how most of the Pearls, they live their life through, I forget what it's called now, the Life Band, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of reflects our life today, where we live most of our life on the internet, on our social networks, on Facebook and Twitter and all of those. So I kind of like that part too.
Yeah, so true. Because they're underground and they can't, and it's just technology has gone to such an extreme. So people have these chips in their heads, and all the information is just streamed into their heads. But is it true or is it not? And they experience the past through these hollow images. Everything is very visual. Your thoughts are even projected into images, but they're very cut off from their emotions. And it was so funny. There was one day I was writing, and I thought, and this poem from Emily Dickinson just came into my head, and I just love her. I think she was an amazing, amazing poet, if not a little neurotic, but she was an amazing poet. And I thought, wow, that would be so cool if Eden's mother had been a huge fan of Emily Dickinson, and I invented this thing where they adopted her because you're only allowed to have one sibling, so family life is very limited, or one child. You're only allowed to have one child, kind of like China's one-child policy.
Right.
And so what better extreme to show the belief that love is dead and evolutionary climbing is all that matters, which is what people believe in this world, than to contrast that with Emily Dickinson's raw, sensual, very powerful and visual poems. And I thought, that's just weird, but I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to put it in, and it's sprinkled throughout the book, and I thought that was a good day. That was a really good day.
Yeah, and it works, actually, as the story goes along. They actually work. And again, we're talking to Victoria Foyt. She's the author of Save the Pearls Part 1, Revealing Eden. You can go to victoriafoyt.com or savethepearls.com. They're up on our link section. Actually, not in the link section, in the book club section, because this is my selection for the book club this week. So you'll find all of it on there. Matter of fact, Victoria, let's talk about that. SaveThePearls.com. Very interesting promotional campaign going on with the book. Was that your idea, or where did that idea for that come from?
Well, I've been working with a really great marketing team at Extima and Chaton Anderson, and it's just, we worked on it together, and we wanted to do something different. I have a background in indie filmmaking, and she does too, and we wanted to do something completely untraditional. Book publishing is so antediluvian. I mean, we're talking like ice melting, and they do the same old thing, and they don't really promote books in a way that I think appeals to the young adult market, because everybody actually is very visually oriented.
Yeah.
So we shot 12, 14 videos, and it was so much fun, and we completely lucked out. The girl that we have playing Eden, Claire Pfister, was just a real find. And, it's a way of, they're teasers, but like the one that the Midnight Luster commercial has gotten a lot of play on YouTube and on the site, because you actually see pearls darken their skin to be more acceptable, to be less threatening. And when you see this girl go from, a white girl to dark covered girl, it's very impactful, I think. And people have been uploading their own videos, sort of, to find a mate. And then there's the New World Chronicle blog, and it's sort of like a whole alternate universe. And we want it to be where people can be exposed to different ideas and meet different kinds of people and share their ideas about the environment, about race, about interracial relationships, and just to create that dialogue. I think the book is provocative that way, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and I put a little tease last weekend on our Facebook page, but if you want to see the complete, all the videos, SaveThePearls.com, they're all on there for you, all in one place. You can go to our book club section, it's some there, SaveThePearls.com. Just click on it, you can see all the videos, what Victoria's talking about. Now, like you said, it is a visual thing, and you mentioned the Hunger Games a few minutes ago. Do you think, or do you even, as a writer, do you sit down and think, hey, maybe I'm writing the next big blockbuster? Did that ever enter your mind while you were writing Revealing Eden?
If I thought that way, I think it would completely thwart my creative process. You can't really put the cart before the horse. When you're writing a novel, you're going down a long, long road, and you have somewhat of a flashlight with your outline, but hopefully the characters take over and start telling you what to do. But which happened luckily with this book, with Revealing Eden, but you can't. I can't think that way. I just have to tell the story that's boiling in my blood, but I've been shocked actually, like how many people have said, "Wow, this will make a great movie." And I think it is like Hunger Games, but in the second and the third book, I mean, basically she's going to have to go and save the pearl. So it is the element of war and just embracing her power definitely grows. She starts out as this very oppressed, Eden Newman starts out as this very oppressed, downtrodden Pearl who has to who experiences a huge transformation and growth, and finally basically is going to save the world, we hope.
Yeah, there's just a little tease of what we can expect in what's coming up in book part 2, and I guess there's going to be a 3, I guess?
Yeah, there's Adapting Eden is the second book, part 2, Save the Pearls part 2. And the Save the Pearls part 3, the title is not quite firm in my head. I don't know. Maybe one of your readers will email us with a suggestion.
Yeah, so there you go. And which one of the characters do you most identify with in Revealing Eden?
I think most writers identify with their protagonist. Mm-hmm. Eden Newman is she doesn't think she's beautiful at all. In our day, she would be considered hot. She'd be considered gorgeous. And I don't know. I never felt really particularly attractive growing up. People laugh when I say that now because I've been in a lot of films and gotten a lot of nice compliments from reviewers about things like that. But I always, I'm kind of like very mental, so I always thought, well, someone will be attracted to me for my brain. But we are very visually oriented, and I'm sure there's some survival evolutionary asset that we've developed. And she's also not sure about love, and I think she's not even sure it exists anymore. It's like a myth by her time in the future. And I think I was exploring that and writing it too. I'd been burned in love and wasn't sure that it wasn't also a myth. So there were a lot of issues I was exploring in this love, and also the environment. How did I feel about that? So yeah, I think she's an incredibly brave girl. I don't know how I would somebody asked me once, well, what would you do if you were a Pearl? And I've never experienced that kind of prejudice. Although once when I was a kid, somebody said something very, very vicious to me. And it was a racial slur, and it wasn't even the right race. It was like, dude, I'm white. Why are you saying that to me? But it shocked me, and I've always been fascinated. I think it formed me in that one moment. I've been fascinated by racial issues, so I put a lot of myself into her. I think she's brave, but I don't know that I would be as brave as she is.
Yeah, and we're talking to Victoria Foyt. Save the Pearls Part 1, Revealing Eden is the book. My pick for this week's book club. SaveThePearls.com or VictoriaFoyt.com if you want to find out more about it, Victoria, or the book itself. All the videos, like I said, are all on there. Go to our book club section and click in there. There it is, all there for you. Victoria, I ask whenever we have authors, I ask them for suggestions, any books that you've read. The only rule we have for the book club is you actually do talk about the book club, and the other rule is that the books have to be sci-fi, fantasy, or horror, or it could be biography, but as long as it's somebody that's sort of geeky, like Steve Jobs or someone like that. So, any of those, any books like that you can suggest for us?
I didn't follow that about the rule about the book club. Talking about the book club, what did you say?
Yeah, kind of like the Fight Club movie. The first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Here, it's the opposite.
Oh,
you actually do talk about the book club.
I see. Gosh, I read like 2 books a month if I'm lucky, which is great. I could probably do more if I didn't have a life. But I liked Anne Rice's books. I don't know if those are still in vogue. I thought Interview with a Vampire was a fantastic book. I guess that would fit in that genre.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books, I don't know if it would be a geeky book, but A Confederacy of Dunces. Have you ever read that by John Kennedy Toole?
No, but I'm writing it down as you speak.
Oh my God. Okay, my father had died, and I was really like in a funk. And I read that book, and I'm laying in bed reading it, laughing out loud. And I thought, how cool is that? This is what fiction is supposed to be about. It just transports you, and it's a great story. It's not horror and it's not geeky. It's about a very geeky, obsessed guy, but it's a brilliant book.
Yeah, we should say, geek doesn't just mean that you like comic books and video games. Geek really means nowadays that you're really passionate about something, whatever it is.
Okay, well, I'm passionate about reading and books, obviously, and I loved that book, A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. And it was also a great story, too, because he died before it was published, and his mom beat the pavement to get it published. And now it's like, on college book reading lists. It's just a brilliant book. And I just recently read Outlander, which is a kind of time travel romance book by Diane Gabaldon. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I thought that was really cool. I love time travel. I would love to do it myself. I really loved Isabel Allende's House of Spirits. That's a kind of more, I would say, lyrical book. But it's got political underpinnings, and it's so well written, and I love books that you just disappear into, where you completely forget everything else around you, and I mean that's how I feel when I'm writing. I like 4 hours go by and I'm like, oh God, I gotta feed the kids. It's like So let's see.
Well, I was talking to you, we were talking before the interview started. I was telling you that's what Save the Pearls is like for me. I couldn't put it down at all. So
awesome.
That is Revealing Eden. That is that kind of book. You really won't be able to put it down.
What did you think of Bramford? Do you mind me asking?
In the beginning, I really could not see. I did not at all. Spoiler alert here, but I did not at all see. Well, I won't give it away. I'll just say I didn't see where they ended up. I didn't see it at all. But at the towards the middle of the book, I just figured. I was actually yelling at Eden, like, he's right there in front of you. You can't see it.
Right. Yeah. I just love him. I think he's such a great hero because he's just holding this deep, dark secret inside of him, and then when you realize it, oh my God, everything falls into place. I love that. I don't know.
I'll say this also, with this audience, they'll understand this reference. He reminded me a lot of the Sawyer character from Lost. That's what he reminded me of in the middle, especially when they get to the rainforest.
Okay.
That's what he reminded me of.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
okay.
This audience knows exactly what I'm talking about, and if you haven't read it, that's another reason to go read it. Another Sawyer-like character.
Cool. Sawyer in Lost? Okay, yeah. I'm going to check that out. Have you read the Philip Pullman series? The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, The Amber Spyglass. They did a movie, I think, of the first one of The Golden Compass. Well, that's just a brilliant read, and it's a trilogy. I love trilogies, and it's kind of it's got this whole spiritual background of everybody has their daemon, which is an animal manifestation of your soul. Right. So it was it was fun for me thinking like, God, what would be my daemon? Would it be I could never make up my mind, so I don't know whether that means I have a lot of personalities or I don't know, because that would change throughout the reading of it. But I think that's incredible. It's to me that it's the trilogy is called His Dark Materials, and it crosses a wide age market or audience, for lack of a better word. Kids like it, adults like it, and like Hunger Games. And I think Save the Pearls, too, crosses a wide swath of ages. I have comments from, like, young teens and, of course, young adults and even, like, women in their 40s and 50s and on. So I love books like that because that means, like in the Golden Compass series, that it's touching on deep mythic issues that we all relate to.
Yeah.
You know, and I like to touch on that in all of my work, and I like to read books like that because, you know, the reason those myths have been around for centuries is because they are, you know, integral to the questions we ask ourselves throughout our lives, you know, regardless of our culture, regardless of where we live or what gender we are. They're basic things. So that was a really great read. And you know, I grew up reading all the classics. I'm a big, like, The Count of Monte Cristo. I don't know if you've read that by Dumas. Yeah, brilliant, right? And Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. I mean, that probably made me a writer, that book. I thought, wow, how did he get into that guy's head? That's just a, you know, I mean, it's a tour de force. I don't know how he did that. And without a computer or even a typewriter, probably. I mean, it's just amazing book. You know, and getting the whole criminal mindset. I mean, God, I just love that book. Yeah, have you read The Once and Future King?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's a great book. And of course, one of my favorite books is Gone with the Wind. That's, you know, I could read that book 1,000 times.
Yeah, that one I've only seen the movie, but I've never read the book, actually, on that one.
The book is really wonderful, and it has this sweeping arc. And it's funny because I keep thinking that, you know, maybe the fact that it was one of my favorite books growing up somehow informed me of writing Revealing Eden, because both Scarlett and Eden are like, you know, the world that they know is suddenly turned upside down.
Yeah.
They're thrust into a new world, and the relationship between Rhett and Scarlett, they're like totally misunderstanding each other all the time, and same with Bramford and Eden, although my book has a happier ending. Let's see. The Lovely Bones was really a great book. Alice Sebold, about this dead girl who's watching everything, how her father's trying to find her killer. I don't know if these are like for your audience, but I love the magical realist writers like Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Love in the Time of Cholera. Have you read that?
No.
It's really an obsessive book. It's like this guy's in love with this girl, and he just obsesses over her for his whole life. It breaks my heart to read that book. I think it's cool. And I'm a big Murakami fan, Haruki Murakami.
Mm-hmm.
Kafka on the Shore, I thought was his best book, and that is a very geeky book because it's like what is going on here? You get so lost in that book, but it's mesmerizing. It's very cool.
Yeah, so you're definitely going to keep me busy looking for these books and maybe looking at the library.
Yeah, well, you know, email me. I am like, I have such a wide range of what I read. It's, you know, I'll read like Pulitzer Prize winner books, and then I'll read Murakami or YA or mysteries. I love.
Yeah. I mean, I read everything obviously for the book club. Like I said, the sci-fi, horror, fantasy, but I go everywhere, all genres. I just love reading.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely keep in touch. I really want to see what happens in part 2. And again, the meta book is Save the Pearls Part 1, Revealing Eden by Victoria Foyt. And thank you, Victoria, again for sending me this signed copies for me. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Really enjoyed it. And SaveThePearls.com is the website linked up in our book club section. All the videos, everything is on there. And get the book. It's still out in the stores, and I'm assuming at Amazon and all the usual places.
Yeah, you can buy it at SaveThePearls.com or Amazon or any online bookseller.
Yeah, so there you go, Victoria Foyt. Again, thanks a lot for coming on, and we're looking forward when part 2 comes out.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and then happy reading.
And thank you. And we'll talk to you next time.
Okay, great. Bye.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our next attraction...
Comics Commentary with David Lee on The Geek Speak Show.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Comics Commentary on the Geek Speak Radio Show. First question I have to ask all of you guys, what in the name of the blue hell is going on with this weather this last week? All across the nation, it's been screwball. One week you got like 20-degree temperatures, everyone's running around in their jackets. Next day it's 75, everyone's out in shorts. And then the third day, they're grabbing onto a tree going, "We love it here," as they're getting flushed away by the wind. Thank you, Walter, for that quote. Some crazy stuff. Now, in my opinion, with the weather being as bipolar as it's been a good time to stay inside. Because when the weather shifts, you tend to get sick because your body can't keep up with it. Enough of the biology lesson. So, with that said, I think, as I said before, it's a good time to stay inside and read comics and play games. This week, we're going to talk just a little bit about the Avengers vs. X-Men upcoming event. First thing I got to say is Excelsior! Marvel, another event? Seriously? Come on, guys. I just went over this with you guys about maybe 4 or 5 sessions ago. Quit with the events! Now, the other thing I understand they're trying to do is they're trying to hype the Avengers movie as much as they can because they see the mainstream media out there watching the Avengers movie, and it's like, oh, hey, check that out. We've got Avengers versus X-Men, which is another popular movie branch, as crappy as it was. So, hey, these are 2 movie franchises. They're going against each other, and they're going to want people to read it. Unfortunately, despite with the lack of information that we've got so far, it ain't going to be movie franchise based, kids. The jury's out for me on this one. I don't know if I'm going to go down to my comic shop and pick up the prequel sometime this month. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm not really looking forward to it given the state Marvel Comics has been in recently. It's to the point where I almost read just a couple of titles. Which leads me to my next topic in this smorgasbord of crazy this week we've got. Amazing Spider-Man. I'd like to go ahead and give props to the writer and the artist of Amazing Spider-Man so far. They've done a really, really good job in advancing the story arc from Spider Island, which was just a convoluted mess, to keeping Peter on track with his bad luck, his host of problems, plus being an identifiable superhero. I'm not going to touch too much on the stories of what happened, even though you guys have probably read a lot of it. But needless to say, Pete's back in full force with his Parker luck. He's got problems with the police force. He's got problems in his home life. This was the Spider-Man that I grew up reading and enjoying. I loved it when Peter Parker was identifiable with us. And ever since Brand New Day, or I should say One More Day, crappy title, they've actually given us a Spider-Man that we can relate to for the most part. Kudos, Marvel. I'll give you credit on that one. Keep it up. And that leads me to yet another statement that I was going to make earlier because of the weather. Another form of entertainment, as we all know, video games. And you all know I'm into that. This week saw the upcoming release of Mass Effect 3. Oh my god. If you're within the sound of my voice, stop listening right now, put it on pause, run out, buy the game, get it, buy it, play it, love it, use the Omniblade. Badass weapon. With the Mass Effect series, BioWare has had the unique trait of letting you keep a save file running from the first game, now all the way into the third game. Choices that you made in the first game and in the second game will affect you in the third game. If you lost squad mates in the second game, they will not show up in the third game. If your Commander Shepard died in the third game, you're kind of screwed. You might want to just start a fresh game of ME3 without your save files. That said, I've only maybe made about 3 or 4 hours headway into the game, and I've already fallen back in love with it. Everything about the Mass Effect franchise. It's been amazing. So, given the fact that I've already talked about Mass Effect 3, let's hit on another brief topic. WonderCon. How many of everybody's going out there in the listening land? I know the host Henry is. I would love to, but I got that crazy thing called work I got to deal with. Crazy people needing their computers fixed and all that. Damn it. a lot of stuff is going to be announced at WonderCon, including a lot of information about the Avengers versus X-Men. So I think after the WonderCon convention, wow, I was redundant of me. Yay! I'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about Avengers versus X-Men on that one. Also, for those of you who actually sat back and read the Ultimate Spider-Man series and loved it up until Bendis went bibbledy with it, there's a new cartoon coming out called Ultimate Spider-Man. It should keep your attention. It's likely going to be broadcast on Disney XD. The trailer's already out for it, and it looks pretty good. I'm definitely looking to see if this one flies any better than the MTV Spider-Man series. I don't know. That series really did kind of suck with the CG, but I loved it. You never know. So until next week, this has been David Lee with Comics Commentary. There's a new way to reach me now. If you're looking for feedback, questions, comments, start writing your hate mail or whatever, David Lee at thegeekspeakshow.com. If you want to send any feedback, good, bad, you want to tell me I suck, you want to tell me how much you like my stuff, if you've just got a question about your cow in the field, shoot me an email. If you want to suggest something for me to rant about, shoot me that email. David Lee at thegeekspeakshow.com. I'm always looking for that feedback. You never know. Next week's topic might be yours.
People who get it, get it.
Just like a lot of people, we've dropped the radio. This is now the Geek Speak Show.
Please make a note of it.
Who is this superhero?
It is the Geek Speak Show ending for this week. You all warmed up?
I am warmed up.
It was a nice cold day in San Francisco, but now it's like 70 degrees, so San Francisco weather. So Anaheim, that's even hotter. I hear it doesn't rain down in Southern California. At least that's what a song says. So we'll be there in a couple of weekends for WonderCon 2012. Yes, I know it's not in San Francisco. So quit whining. It'll be back next year. We'll talk to David Glanzer, Director of Marketing PR for Comic-Con, WonderCon, and Ape. You know, it's not a WonderCon show if we don't talk to David, so he'll be on with us next week. I'll tell you in a second who else is going to be with us next week. But first, let's say thank you to Doug Neff, to Justin Berger. They will be there. You liked Doug Neff?
I loved it. I'm still inspired right now.
Yeah, see, and wait till she actually goes to the panel that
I know,
day.
right?
There was just a little tease of what he's going to give us there. And my pick this week for the book club, Victoria Foyt, Save the Pearls Part 1, Revealing Eating, another fun interview, and it's all up on our book club, not the links, the book club section. Just go on there. You can see all the videos, pretty cool videos, pretty cool little marketing campaign they got going there. So next week, it'll be the warm-up to WonderCon Part 2. Actually, the real one, because it'll be that weekend. And we will talk to a lot of people. David Glanzer already mentioned. We're also going to talk to Mr. Diablo, Scott Mercano, who's been on the show before. He'll have a booth there. Another familiar name that's been on. A lot of old friends are coming back to the show. We're going to see him at WonderCon. Rod Roddenberry, son of Gene Roddenberry, creator of Star Trek. He's going to come back on, tell us about, tease a few things that are coming up from Roddenberry Entertainment. And another big name that's been on the show also before, Jeff Loeb from Marvel. Actually, I was going to say Marvel Comics, but it's actually Marvel Entertainment. He's the head of the television department. Mm-hmm. He's going to, at WonderCon, premiere Ultimate Spider-Man, the one that's going to premiere on Disney XD, and also shows the pilot episode for Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, season number 2. And last year we had Fear Itself. This year we have Avengers versus X-Men in the Marvel Comics universe. They'll give us all the details at a WonderCon. They'll tease us a little bit next week. So that's next week. Jeff Loeb will be here. Rod Roddenberry, Mr. Diablo, David Glanzer. Also, I already have another book picked out for next week. I'll let you know what it is now. It's called Creating a Blockbuster. Kind of ties into what Doug Neff was talking about. Mm-hmm. Doug Neff shows you how to go from just talking about it to actually doing it. Mm-hmm. Gene Del Vecchio wrote a book, Creating the Blockbuster. That one talks to you about how to market it, so you don't have Green Lantern like last year. Oh, yeah, I went there. So when you do have your blockbuster, whatever it is, people actually want to go see it, market it correctly. Mm-hmm. And that'll be apropos, because that's what we're going to get at WonderCon, just inundated with marketing stuff for everything. Another thing that we have, not at WonderCon, but it's in the area in case you get tired of WonderCon. Yeah, I was going to get tired of WonderCon. But in case you do, Violet,
yes,
and you get tired of shopping, don't lie, you will get tired of shopping.
You get tired from it, not of it.
Of it too, especially if you're by Disneyland, you're gonna keep hearing that song over and over. It's a small. Okay, enough already. Star Wars, where science meets imagination. That is an exhibit going on in I forget exactly the city. It'll be all up on the link section next week when we do that. But the coolest thing about this, it's all Star Wars exhibits. Millennium Falcon, the YT 1300. When you first came out, I asked you what that was, and you looked at me like I had 12 heads. What that is the Millennium Falcon Han Solo ship. Mm-hmm. There's a huge, big replica of the cockpit. You can go in there and actually pilot the thing and take it to hyperdrive if it works, or it'll be fun. So we'll talk to somebody about that. I'm tired already. See, we haven't even done the show. See, that's why we're doing a warm up.
So packed already.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to at WonderCon?
I want to go see Doug Neff. I want to be like totally
He really inspired you, huh?
I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
So there you go. And then you can go from fan to creator.
Hopefully,
that was a hint.
Push.
That book that you mentioned.
That was from a long time ago.
It's time to dust it off and start working on it again. And then we can say we knew you when. And you'll say, who? The geek who? I don't know those little people. Give me water, room temperature. So again, thanks again to everybody that came on, and we'll see you all next week on the Geek Speak Show for warm up to WonderCon Part 2. Everybody say bye.
See ya.
Bye.
That's it for this week. Come back next week for an all-new episode of the Geek Speak Show. In the meantime, follow them on Twitter, find them on Facebook, subscribe in iTunes, and listen to past shows and special features on the Geek Speak Show YouTube page. YouTube.com/GeekSpeakVideos. We'll see you next week. Tell your friends about the Geek Speak Show. The Geek Speak Show.